What's up, y'all? I'm out here at the range, as you can see back behind me, on what's ended up being a really nice day to get some jelly testing done. Although the wind is picking up out here and it's a little bit chilly once it gets behind them clouds, but that ain't enough to keep me from keeping on. And for this one right here, we're gonna check out some of the more unusual defensive ammo. So of course, we got the jelly contraption out here putting in work with the radar and 2 blocks of gel. Now I've done one test already in this. I flipped this around. I had one of them sneak into this first block, but that shouldn't bother us at all because I don't think this stuff's even coming close to going out of this first block. So we got plenty of room up here in the front to check this one out. And of course, as always, I'm using my heavy clothing barrier with a layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt material. So what we're looking at with this one here is actually some stuff I've had for quite a while. It's this SinterFire special duty self-defense ammo. Now what this stuff is, they're actually hollow points, but it's a centered round, just like it says, which basically means it's powdered. It's powdered and just pressed together, heated, I'm sure, is part of the process. It's actually copper and tin is what it is. So copper and tin powder pressed together into a projectile. Now a couple of the claims to fame on this stuff. Number one, it's supposed to avoid that big bad over penetration boogeyman that some people are worried about. I can tell you already, this is not my type of ammo. I know some people are going to like this stuff, but I can just tell you before I even see it, this is not going to be for me, just because it's going to go all to pieces and not get the penetration that y'all know I like to see out of it. And then it's also supposed to be able to go through a 3/4 inch hard barrier, like 3/4 inch plywood, without fragmenting until it gets to something soft like the gel here. Now I'm not testing it through any hard barriers today. I wanted to see what it would do in just the gel with the clothing first. I may come back and revisit this stuff and do some hard barrier tests just out of curiosity. So anyway, I've got the 9mm and the 380 here. The 9mm is 100 grains, the 380 is 75 grains. That's another thing that automatically I don't like. I just really don't like this light for caliber stuff. I'd rather have a heavy caliber that's moving quick and doing its thing. But again, I do know that some people do like this kind of stuff. And then as far as what I'm running them out of out here, I picked both short barrel carry type stuff. We got the Ruger LCP Max with the 2.8 inch barrel. And then I've got my Canik Mete MC9 with the 3.1 inch barrel. So even though I'm pretty confident without even seeing this stuff that I'm not going to be impressed by it, I am still curious to see exactly what it does. So let's get this stuff set up and let's find out. All right, let's see what kind of speeds we can get out of this stuff, y'all, and we'll do a 5-round average on each one. We'll start with this 380 first. I don't think I even mentioned there was no velocity listed on the box at all. There may be something online, but I hadn't checked. I expect it to be moving pretty good, being only 75 grains, but we'll find out. If y'all are new to the channel, like I always mention, you're gonna get multiple readings from this radar. Your big number is gonna be your muzzle velocity, and then the 5 additional ones at the bottom are set for 3 yards, which is where the gel's gonna be. Then you've got 10, 15, 25, and 50. So let's see what we get out of this stuff, y'all. 75 grains, it ought to be moving on, but I got a feeling. It's actually pretty loud, I can tell you that. 1021. That stuff's pretty loud right here. 1035. That was another 1035, but I saw the stuff change at a distance, so it was valid. 1014. And 1034. That is some really loud stuff right there for whatever reason. I mean, velocity's not all that fast for it to be that loud from my experience, but who knows? Let's check out the average. All right, so our 5-round average that time was 1,028. We had an extreme spread of 21 and a standard deviation of 9.6. So 1,028 with a 75 grain projectile. I mean, I figured they could do better than that, but maybe you can't push this powder stuff but so fast. Let's get this reset and let's see what the 9mm does. All right, let's see what this 9mm does, y'all. Remember, we will move the weight up to 100 grains on this. See what we get out of it here. 1224. This is loud too. 1227. 1240. 1260. And 1228, so definitely faster and louder. This is some really loud stuff for whatever reason. Let's check out that average. All right, so our 5-round average on the 9mm was 1,236 feet per second. We had an extreme spread that time, a little bigger, of 36 and a standard deviation of 15. So 1236 on this 9mm, and if you remember on the 380, it was 1,028. So you talking about what, 208 feet per second faster from that 9mm. So that's 20% faster. That's a big big difference right there. So it should equal some big difference in the gel, but I have no idea really what to expect from this stuff. Hopefully it puts on a good show. Let me get this stuff reset and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's powder puff jelly time. We'll put one of each into the gel, starting with this 380 first. I expect, really what I know I'm gonna get here is a absolute mess to clean up out this gel. According to some of the stuff that they claim on their site, it's supposed to be a cone of devastation going in. So let's just see what happens here, y'all. I'm wondering, really, I'm most curious to see if there's anything that keeps going like it that's got more mass than the fragmentation. All right, that should have been a good one. Let's go see what we got. All right, that's actually not what I was expecting to see right there. That looks more like the Liberty Civil Defense or some of that blue Federal Syntex stuff. I expected a lot less controlled fragmentation, but it's looking pretty nice down there for what it is. Let's see what the 9mm does. Now, it's gonna be tricky because, like I said, I didn't expect what I got right there, so it's probably gonna be blocked, but I'll flip y'all around and we'll get some good views of it. Y'all know I'll get you right. Let's see what the 9mm does. All right, that should have been another good one. Let's go see what they look like. All right, let's check out what we got down here, y'all. I decided not to flip this thing over. I think you can see pretty good, and then I'll pick you up and give you some overhead views. Everything's completely separate from those other two little tracks back there, and all of these are completely separate. What I will have to say is, y'all know how I'm gonna feel about this 380. I don't think that's enough penetration and the energy and these little pedals and stuff, but as far as that 9, I'm gonna just be honest with you, I'm struggling not to like that 9mm. Now, there's some things I definitely don't like about that I'll talk about here in a second, but that's some really nice looking stuff, and it's not what I expected at all. Being a sintered or powdered round, I expected way less controlled with this fragmentation, but that's really controlled fragmentation. It's nice symmetrical looking little shards, so definitely a pleasant surprise so far what I'm seeing. But anyway, this one right here on the bottom, that's the 380, of course. As you can see, it comes in immediately, does that segmenting and fragmentation there. Nice area of disruption. Now, I don't know how I feel about all these little pedals in this shallow area. Yes, that's definitely going to do some damage, but I don't know just how effective that's going to be. But anyway, it does keep on trucking with the centerpiece, just like that Liberty Civil Defense does, just like that Federal Syntex does. Now these, from what I'm seeing so far, they remind me more of the Federal Syntex than the Civil Defense, just because of the fragments are bigger, they're more uniform, and it looks like the base is bigger also. So then on the top, of course, that's the 9mm, more of the same, just more of it basically. As you can see, it comes in here, definitely a bigger area of disruption, a whole lot more fragments there. The 380, just rough counting, looks like about 6 or so fragments. That 9mm from rough counting looked like it had around 15 or so. So a whole lot more fragmentation and energy dump right there. About the same distance though, we'll measure it. Keeps on trucking with the base here, crosses into this second block, and looks like it went about 1.5 inches into this second block. So some really nice penetration from the core of that was left over. Now, as far as your penetration, the 380 core is out here at 10 3/4, so too short for me. It's just the way it is. Y'all know how I am. And then the 9mm is at 17.5 inches, so absolutely fantastic penetration from the core of that 9mm. And then as far as this fragment field, it looks like you're going from about 2 inches out to about 6 inches. So from 2 to 6 inches is just full of those fragments. And in a quick closer look, you can see really nice fragmentation there from that 380. There's your base of it there. And then going to the 9, you can see it there. A whole lot more fragmentation from that one. Keeps on trucking there. And then into the second block, you see the base of that one there. And then just a really quick look from overhead so you can see they're completely separated. You can see the tracks separate a little better there. There's that 380, and then there's the 9 keeping on rolling. All right, let's take a look at what we got here with these projectile bases. Pretty interesting looking stuff there. I don't know how much of a detail this focus is gonna let y'all see, but it is powdered. I mean, it is nothing but powder, buddy. That whole entire projectile just made up of really fine powder. You can probably see it there, but pretty neat how it acted. I mean, it held together really nicely, way better than I expected. Again, I expected just like a cone of powder, just totally powdered up in there. That's why I mentioned having a bunch of mess to clean out of the gel, but this stuff really surprised me. It's a whole lot harder than I gave it credit for, and after seeing this, I can probably believe that it would go through a 3/4 inch plywood, and I'm definitely going to revisit this stuff and do some testing and find out about that. Now, the one thing I'm really curious to see is the weight of these two bases that's left, because I think that's one of the main things that I get hung up on stuff like this. As far as the civil defense, the Syntech was better because it wasn't really a light for caliber round. The problem is, and I don't know why, I'm sure they have their reasons, but most of these rounds that act like this, they always make them really, really light for caliber. Maybe they have to get them moving fast enough to fragment like they're supposed to. I don't know, but in any case, that's probably one of my main hang-ups about this stuff. So let's weigh them up and see exactly what they did lose. So we'll start with the 380. That one started at 75. And it's all the way down to 44.0. So that thing lost 31 grains, basically getting right at half of its weight that it lost on the 380. The 9, it was 100 to start with, and it's down to 57.0. So what's that? 43 grains that it lost. So again, almost half of their weight that they lose with those fragments. And me personally, I'm not very impressed by that fragmentation area right there. What I want to see is this chunk and how far it goes. But let's see what kind of size we're working with on these things. Now, obviously there's no expansion, so we'll measure the base basically. You got 352 and 352 again. And then as far as the length on this, you got 269, and now that was the 380 if I didn't mention. And then for the 9 mil here, you got 350 and 350 again. And then for the length on this one, you got 361. So there you have it, y'all. The SinterFire ammo in 9 mil and 380. Really interesting stuff right here. Again, not what I expected. I expected this powder just to basically go into a cloud of dust inside of there, because as you can see, it is just nothing but powder. I mean, it's really, really fine pressed powder there. So not what I expected, and not necessarily in a bad way. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of performing rounds. Y'all know I've talked about it in the past with the Liberty Civil Defense, and it's mainly because of the weight of this projectile and me doubting what this stuff is going to be able to overcome and get through. Now, that being said, because of their claims of it being able to go through 3/4 inch plywood and other things without fragmenting until it gets to the gel, I am definitely going to do some retesting with these, and we may go ahead and throw in like the civil defense and even those Syntech rounds and do some hard barrier testing and see which one of these types of rounds is best at that. All right, y'all, that's a wrap for what I think was another pretty interesting 9 mil and 380 comparison. Again, this is not exactly what I expected, but I'm glad I didn't get what I expected, because this looks way better than what I was expecting to see. I didn't know if there was even a little core at all that kept going. I just expected to see basically a cone of dust in there is really what I expected to see. But even with that said, most of y'all know how I am. I'm just really funny about this specialty, gimmicky ammo, whatever you want to call it. I'm just not sold on it, and it's mainly because of the weight on it. I just do not like this really light for caliber stuff. I don't understand why they load this stuff that light. It seems like you could up the weight on this stuff, up the speed on it. Now, I'm definitely not a qualified engineer, so I'm just thinking out loud here, but I just personally don't care for that really light for caliber stuff. But I am actually even more curious with this stuff, so I'm definitely going to retest this through some kind of hard barrier, and again, probably add some of the other rounds, so it'll be interesting to see what those actually do through a hard barrier. But let me know what y'all think about the performance that you saw from them out here today. Do any of y'all actually carry these? If you do, what caliber do you carry them in? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. If you enjoyed the video, take a second and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you got those notifications turned on so you'll hopefully get notified when I upload new videos. If you're doing some shopping, like I always remind you, hit up those affiliate links in the video description. I got a little bit of everything down there, and anything you buy after going through those links, I get a kickback from them towards the channel, so I really do appreciate that. Once again, I appreciate all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for showing the support that y'all do. I've got a couple more interesting ones planned for out here today, so be on the lookout for those. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.